So what does 2012 have in store for world markets and your wallet, which is really what we're concerned about? Well, financial fortune teller Tom Crow joins us with his crystal ball this morning.
Oh, don't I wish?
Yeah, right? Good morning. Happy New Year to you.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Important stuff to talk about. Of course, we're all concerned with our finances all year long, but especially as we get into the new year. You know, we're 10 days in at this point, and clear themes are really starting to emerge. As a financial advisor, what trends can you tell us are starting to take shape?
Well, I think it's looking kind of like until our elections are over, we're going to be in kind of a range-bound market. I think still reactive. What we call correlation is all stocks moving together very tightly is still very high.
Okay.
So I think it's we're not going to see a lot of big breakout moves, I think, until there's some clear direction on the political front.
Interesting. Okay, so definitely the political front. What other world events do you think are going to start to affect markets?
Name one that isn't. I mean, really.
Good point.
You know, we're the biggest economy in the world, and we're going to choose new leadership in a few months here. But you've got Europe that seems to have at least kind of put off some of their financial problems.
True.
You've got now Syria 10 months into protest, and their leader is still saying he's not going to do anything, where all the others have stepped down.
Yeah.
China's housing market is a little bit depressed. China's slowing down a little bit, and they were the ones that everybody thought would never suffer any ill effects of this economy.
That's right.
You know, it's you name it. Somehow it's going to have an effect on the economy.
So we really have to stay on top of not just our national news, but really our world news.
You got to look at a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, everything is really affecting us, including the price of oil. And, you know, Chris and I were just talking about the gas prices going up. So will we basically be better off on the move, or are we better off staying home? I mean, what's your advice?
I don't see much reason for oil to go down a whole lot. I think the OPEC nations like getting $100-some odd a barrel for oil.
Yeah.
Our domestic oil companies are more productive at that rate, and they tend to go after more exploration, reopen more wells when it's that expensive. Their margins are better. They'll pursue it a little bit more. Like I say, in terms of budgeting and what you're going to do, you know, one thing that's really nice is to kind of take advantage of some of the websites locally.
Okay.
I think gasbuddy.com is a great one to go to. Type in your zip code or wherever you're near and see who's charging the cheapest gas.
That's great. So you can literally just log on, and they update it how often, do you know?
It's volunteer supplied, so you can see how long ago the last post was. Some of them are 20 minutes, some are hours and days ago, but you know, you can always get the around you the best price for gas, and then kind of leave yourself a weekly budget for what you want to spend. I mean, I drive a big old pickup truck, and I'm like $60 a week, and I try and keep it within that, and if it means I stay home a couple of nights, or I do.
Carpooling. I mean, there's a lot of different ways around it, and it's definitely something to be really cognitive of. And another thing that people are cognitive of right now is as they're starting a new year, they're making resolutions, they're thinking, maybe I want to start putting some money into a home. I'm spending a lot of money renting. So is the housing market expected to improve? I mean, what are you hearing from the lenders right now?
I think it still looks like it's going to be pretty flat for a while. We've got a lot of hangover in terms of foreclosures, a lot of people still underwater. Banks are starting to lend a little bit, but still your credit scores have to be very high to qualify. If you do have good credit and you haven't looked into a refinance lately, I've just heard 30-year is down under 4% now you can get. So, you know, if you can shave a half to a point off of your interest rate, you can save a lot of money, and you ought to look into that. But until we start seeing jobs numbers picking up, where it's really going to be hard for the housing market to take off.
Interesting. Okay, so then if people are thinking about investing, where should they put their money in 2012?
Well, you want to put it where it's going to do you the most good.
Yeah.
You know, first of all, the idea of investing is to do something that's going to gain you some kind of a return.
Sure.
And we've talked before. The first thing you got to do is get rid of the debt, because that is a built-in negative return.
And that's rough after Christmas, because you know we've all been using our credit cards in the last month a little more than often.
Consumer borrowing went up the biggest, the most in 20 years or something over November, December.
Yeah.
So people did max out the credit cards over the holidays.
It looked like people were spending a lot more than they were last year, and it looked like they were spending a lot more than they have to spend, including myself. I'm guilty.
And a lot of the retailers were offering some pretty heavy incentives in terms of discounting.
Definitely.
So you saw that in their margins. They weren't quite as strong as they were in years past, but they did move the merchandise.
For sure. So okay, so number one, clear the debt. That's the first step.
Yeah, because that is an automatic negative return.
Okay.
Then you want to get to the point where maybe you've got 1 to 3 to 6 months emergency fund saved up. Then you start worrying about how you're going to kind of set some aside that you don't need for quite a while. You're going to look at your retirement funds.
Okay.
First option ought to be your company's retirement plan. If you have an employer that offers a 401k, a 403b for government, schools, that kind of thing, max that out. That's your best tax advantage.
Okay.
You don't pay income taxes on that money. It comes out pre-tax. and you don't pay taxes on it till you use it later.
Well, if any of our viewers want to open an investment account this year, I mean, what are their best options for an investment account itself?
Again, it's going to be what's best for you, because there is any number of accounts. You can go a straight brokerage account. You can look at 529s to save for your kids' college. You can look at Roth and traditional IRAs. You really, you know, we're not going to solve anybody's problems in a short segment here, but there are really a ton of options and hundreds of people here locally that would want to work with you.
Well, speaking of that, Tom, before you go, I want to just mention that many New Mexicans have been forced to cash out their retirement funds due to their job losses. So if they're starting over, for instance, and you know they're 10 or 20 years away from retirement at this point, what are their options?
Again, the methodology is the same. You want to start simple. You want to have that emergency fund first. Then you start setting aside in the tax-deferred, the IRA accounts. And don't put any money in where you're not giving it a 3 to 5 year kind of a time frame to start building a strategy and having something work. In that 3 to 5 year time frame, you're going to live through good markets and bad markets. Of course. And you'll start to get some kind of cohesive growth working for you.
Great advice as always. Now, how can our viewers contact you for more of your savvy financial help?
For more of my savvy advice, please call me here locally, 243-2281. Check out our website, CrowFA, like crowfinancialadvisors.com. It doesn't cost anything to talk to me, so please give me a call. We want to get you on the right track.
That means a lot. Thank you so much. What a great way to start the year.
It's my pleasure.
Great to see you again.
You too.
And still ahead, Hollywood came to 13 Broadcast Plaza yesterday, and Face of Fox, Elias Gallegos, went behind the scenes.